Hello there. Seems as though we have a massive fire on our hands from California, and it's not looking good. This is NPR photos. Thousands in Los Angeles evacuate as wind-fueled Palisades fire quickly worsens. The scenes are apocalyptic. More than 30,000 people in Los Angeles County have been ordered to evacuate as the Palisades fire, one of several wildfires that broke out on Tuesday morning, blazed through the Pacific Palisades community. Fueled by intense Santa Ana winds, the fire has spread over more than 2,900 acres and threatened 13,000 structures. California Governor Gavin Newsom said during an afternoon press conference that he had seen already many of them destroyed. What is this English? Notice this is a direct quote from the article. Gavin Newsom said during an afternoon press conference that he's already seen many of them destroyed. Was this written by AI? I'm sorry, it certainly feels that way. Anyway, to continue, the fire remains uncontained. Hundreds of firefighters have been battling the blaze on foot in the hillsides of the Santa Monica Mountains, where the fire originally broke out, as well as by plane, dropping water and flame retardant. In the Pacific Palisades community, thousands of people have scrambled to escape the flames. According to LAist, video footage showed drivers on the Pacific Coast Highway fleeing their cars to the ocean at the behest of officers. Additionally, a second major wind-driven fire was burning Tuesday night in Los Angeles County as fierce Santa Ana winds roared across the region. The Eaton fire had destroyed 400 acres in Altadena, north of Pasadena, an area bordering the Angeles National Forest. Evacuations have been ordered, conditions changing very quickly. Essentially, they're saying that the winds are reaching over 100 mph or more. Very strong gusts and low relative humidity will allow any fire that develops to spread very rapidly. That's the National Weather Service. Yeah, sounds awful, all in all. The pictures are... Oh, look at that gigantic ash cloud. Insane. Just everything red and black. Very unfortunate. Now this is a strange one. There are posts on X showing what seems to be a Fox News, to put it, a video from a Fox News podcast, TV broadcast, whatever it is, where you can see something that looks a bit like a missile or an aircraft or something, just getting out of the fire and disappearing somewhere off into the distance. And people notice it. When is the last time you saw a rocket launch out of a fire? Something ain't right here. I don't know if it's a rocket or if it's something else, a drone, whatever the hell it is. It's strange if it's a real, footage from a Fox News broadcast. I've seen a couple of posts about it, and it has quite a few people talking about it, but we'll see. Now, I wanted to go about some of the responses here. Elon Musk tweeted, Obama made sure that Rick Caruso, who is extremely competent, lost to utterly incompetent Mayor Karen, her real name. That's in response to something Rick Caruso said, which is basically, quote, this is like a third world country. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrants. LA Mayor Karen Bass is on a foreign trip to Gehenna. So there are a couple of people talking about, in fact, a lot of people talking about no water in the fire hydrants. They're basically saying that this is due to mismanagement, the water reservoirs. If true, then this is, in my opinion, criminal neglect, and you may well be suable, in my opinion, for, or at least you should be, for the damages people received due to, firefighters not being able to do their job properly because they don't have water to put out a fire with. Elon Musk also asked what about California in response to a post. Joe Biden's USAID has funded 16 Ukrainian fire departments with protective gear, motor pumps, chainsaws, rescue motor cutters, rechargeable spotlights, fire extinguishers, and hydraulic rescue tools. What about California fire departments? I don't know. I don't think they did anything about those. There's also this. Gavin Newsom could have fixed the fire issue 5 years ago. Now his state burns thanks to his woke policies. This is in response to tweets from Donald Trump. from years ago, 5 years ago. It starts the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has done a terrible job of forest management. I told him from the first day we met that he must clean his forest floors regardless of what his bosses, the environmentalists, demand of him. Must also do burns and cut fire stoppers. Now, he continues every year as the fires rage in California burns. It is the same thing, and then he comes to the federal government for dollars help, so money. No more get your act together, governor. You don't see close to the level of burn in other states, but our teams are working well together in putting these massive and many fires out. Great firefighters. Also open up the ridiculously closed water lanes coming down from the north. Don't pour it out into the Pacific Ocean. Should be done immediately. California desperately needs water and you can have it now. So this is what Trump said 5 years ago. If you're wondering what he's talking about in terms of forest floor and such, well, I asked Grok AI about it, and basically it said that the relationship between forest management practices like cleaning the forest floor and conducting controlled burns and the severity of wildfires is complex and has been subject to extensive debate. Essentially, they're saying that over the last century, particularly in the United States, aggressive fire suppression policies have led to the accumulation of fuel on the forest floors. This practice has been critiqued for creating conditions where, when fires do occur, they can be much more severe due to the abundance of combustible material. So, historically, many forest ecosystems depended on regular low-intensity fires, either from natural causes like lightning or through practices by indigenous peoples who used controlled burns for land management. These fires help to clear underbrush and dead wood, reducing the potential for massive high-intensity wildfires. A notable amount of research supports the idea that controlled or prescribed burns can significantly reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires when managing fuel loads. In short, you get tons of leaves, dead branches, etc. stacking up on the forest floors, and these allow the fire to spread easily from one place to the next until the entire forest is burning, and you have a very quick and massive fire that burns everything away. On the other hand, if you have controlled burns, then this amount of stacking does not occur, and when the fire does occur, it's going to be much more manageable, smaller in size, doesn't spread as fast, not as lethal. It says here, studies and expert opinions often highlight that these burns can mimic natural fire cycles, improving forest health and reducing the likelihood of uncontrolled fires. For instance, reports from the US Forest Service and analysis in publications like the Los Angeles Times and Vox discuss how controlled burns can lower the intensity of wildfires by reducing underbrush and other fine fuels. There's counter arguments, and not all experts agree on the extent to which these practices universally prevent larger fires. Basically, some people say there are specific situations in which this doesn't help. Some ecologists argue that in some ecosystems, particularly those not historically adapted to frequent fires or under changing climatic conditions, thinning and controlled burns might not be as effective or could even contribute to fire spread under certain conditions. I wonder how could it possibly contribute. There's also contention around the effectiveness of mechanical thinning without subsequent burns, as it might leave too much fuel on the ground or increase wind penetration, potentially exacerbating fire spread. Now, in recent years, this issue has become politicized, with claims like those from former US President Donald Trump about cleaning forests being both criticized and supported in different quarters. The discourse often oversimplifies science, leading to debates about whether forest management practices alone can mitigate the growing severity of wildfires, especially in the context of climate change, which is altering fire regimes. Of course it is. Of course climate change is real. We are on YouTube. It's always real on YouTube. Next. Environmental and ecological considerations. Controlled burns are seen as beneficial not only for fire prevention, but also for ecological health, promoting biodiversity and maintaining habitats for species that depend on fire for regeneration. So essentially, it can help plants grow. If you see a couple of years after, like even 2 or 3 years after the fire, you'll be amazed at just how green and lush it can be. So there is something to be said for not preventing fires for eternity while allowing all of the underbrush and dead leaves and the branches and such to stack up, which creates a ton of fuel for a fire, and that is exactly what has been done in California. So people say this might be a contributing factor to why you have such a problem. And if you combine bad reservoir water management along with bad forest management, you get a gigantic fire with no way to stop it, which funnily enough is exactly what we have right now. Now, are we going to see the government helping the people who are in dire straits as a result of this disaster? I wouldn't hold my breath. This is from the New York Post. If you remember, we had last year, 2024, so it hasn't ended that long ago. There was a horrible hurricane, and people needed aid from the government, and the feds said there's no money left to respond to hurricanes after FEMA spent 1.4 billion on migrants. They also distributed help based on DEI standards, meaning if you are an oppressed minority, then you get priority in rescue efforts and money from the government. So it's not about whether or not you are in dire straits, helping the people who are in most danger first, rather helping people first because they're trans or black or gay or whatever it is that the feds like right now, whatever the activists demand be the flavor of the day. And I'm not blaming the people who are, whatever minority it is or whatever so-called oppressed group it is. They don't choose to be what they are. They don't choose what the government does. The government just does these things and doesn't even bother telling the people that it will do them. It doesn't even own up to the fact. But if you actually check the government's websites, if you check the materials they publish to their own public officials, then they actually admitted that they in fact demand it there. I actually made a video at the time that specifically covered a manual, I believe, from FEMA or whatever government agency, where they explicitly said, they even referenced Robin DiAngelo's book about DEI and, the whole intersectional oppression pyramid. So I would not at all expect any sort of government aid to be timely, efficient, fair, equal. It will be equitable according to their historical standards, which, in my opinion, has nothing to do with fairness or justice. But that's just me. So, what's the takeaway from this? Take care of yourself and your family. If you feel that you're in danger, don't wait for the government to tell you to move out. In my opinion, just do it. Because, again, I'm not an expert, just I'm sorry if you hear the noise from outside. Anyway, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to tell you for sure what to do, but in what I would do, if I felt that I and my family are in danger, I would not stay, because they have an awful track record on these things. The Maui fires are an example, and I wouldn't bank on them for aid either. I would be prepared myself. I will keep looking at the topic and see if there's anything more that we can glean, any particularly interesting developments I will bring to you. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.